woke, huh? Yeah, I love it. Love it. Get over yourselves being here like in daylight hours. That's awesome. So my name is Alice, and my preferred pronouns are she, her. Dang, I mean, sure, we can woo the cisgenderness, I guess. I love that we're all sharing our pronouns now. I do. I think it's great. I think it's so, I just love that we're aware of all genders, and I also love that we're aware now of grammar. Like the social justice side of me loves that we're acknowledging the gender spectrum, but the grammar nerd side of me loves that we're learning what pronouns are, finally. Finally, oh my God, it's like the moment I've been waiting for. It's like double social justice. Yes. You know, I think we could use this more in all of our culture. I do. I think, like with dating, we could share our verbs. Like, my name's Alice, my pronouns are she, her, and my verb is consenting. See? You see what I just did there? Now you know I'm consenting. See, it works, right? I can throw an adverb in there too. My name's Alice, I'm she, her, and I'm enthusiastically consenting. You see? See how that works? Grammar. I know, right? But my preferred noun is not whore, because my preferred adjective is sex positive. You see, it's we're just using grammar to be smarter and more woke. All right, I can't help it. I'm just a grammar nerd. I am. I can't. It's not my fault. I went to this fancy East Coast school and then used my very prestigious college career to do stand-up. As one does. No one does that. Nobody does that. Everyone else from my school just like went and then got like a JD or an MD or a PhD. You know, something fancy with a D at the end. I did not. As you can see, I did not get any of those. I got a different D. I got HPV. You all laughed a little too hard, so someone else did too, right? And you did too. And if you don't have it, you do. You just don't know it. That's how HPV works. Last summer, I celebrated both a birthday and an anniversary. I mean, you can woo the anniversary part. The birthday, yeah, I'm just not a wooable age now. I'm okay actually with saying my age though. I'm totally comfortable admitting my age. You know, most women, they don't want to say their age. You know, they're like, oh, I'm like 25 to 30. No, I will tell you my age, okay? I have no problem admitting that I am 39 plus 5. Thanks, I got a good job on that. If you didn't want to add, I know it's Saturday, so I'll just tell you, I'm 20 times 2 in parentheses plus 4. That's my age. If we're still not caught up yet, I'll just tell you, square root is 1600 plus 4, okay? That's how old I am. I'm still past the age of like making my birthday a thing though, you know? Like I think once you hit 21, it's over. Just stop making them things. It's not you know, like I don't want to do a thing for my birthday. I don't want to go to some bar after midnight and do shots. Like what is that? Stop buying people shots on their birthdays. That's so stupid. Why are we doing that still? It's just stop by, like just give me the money you're going to spend on the shot, okay? I could use some things, all right? The only shot I need at my age is a Botox shot, all right? But thanks to this pandemic, I got to spend the last 2 birthdays exactly how I wanted, just eating cake on my couch. No makeup, no bra, no pants, in bed by 10. It was amazing. Thank you all so much for not coming. Okay. And no presents, please. Your absence is my presence. Thank you. Also celebrate an anniversary. Yeah, thank you. That is one to celebrate, okay? It was my 7th year. I've been married for 7 years. And I think it is totally worth celebrating surviving another year of marriage. Especially if you had a quarantine marriage, okay? Anyone else survive a quarantine marriage? We got her right there, okay. The woman who's by herself is in a quarantine marriage. Of course, I get you. So for those of you who are not married, let me tell you, Marriage years in the quarantine are like dog years, okay? So by that math, I have now been married for 49 years. So it's weird because I'm not 49 yet. But hey, next year's the golden, all right? But I do love my husband. He's great. I really love him. He's amazing. He is. Like, you know what he said to me last night? He said, I'm going to make us dinner. And I was like, oh, do we have to do everything together? Really? Like dinner now? It's not that I love being married. I do. It's just that when I got married, I didn't expect a quarantine. That's all. Like, I didn't see this happening. When we exchanged our wedding vows, they were a little too vague. Little, like, I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, like, in sickness and health. Like, just all sickness, really? I think COVID falls under a different category. I don't think the CDC recommends we, like, stay together during that sickness, you know, like till death do us part. Okay, cool. I'm with that, but like, if we're quarantining together in a one-bedroom apartment, can I just tap out for a second and then go back and then go to death? That's just all I want. So we celebrated our 7-year. Every anniversary year has a theme. First year is paper. Second year is cotton. 7-year is the 7-year itch. Yeah. So I got my husband cortisone cream. And we cheated on each other. That's the itch, right? That's what you're supposed to do for the itch. I'm just kidding. We didn't really cheat on each other. I would not do that. We're in a pandemic. That could be deadly. No. So the 7-year itch is actually from that old Hollywood movie with Marilyn Monroe. You know, the iconic Hollywood moment where her skirt's flying up? That's the 7-year itch. But if you've ever seen the movie, it's actually really stupid because she's standing over a subway grate and her skirt is flying up and she's like, oh my gosh, my skirt's flying up. I'm like, just get off the grate, Marilyn, just get off. Just move over to the sidewalk. It's pretty simple. In her defense, she's a woman and probably doesn't understand basic physics, but you know. My point is, it was my 7-year anniversary. That's what that was all about. So my husband is a Leo. Woo. Any astrology people out there? No? Okay, yeah, woo, yeah. He's an actor, and by actor, I mean like a thespian, like, you know, like he's working on his craft, one of those actors. And a lot of actors nowadays. And also he's Italian. So that combination means he's hairy, but also total drama queen, total just super drama queen, just everything's so dramatic. The other day I came home and he was a little grumpy, and he goes, I'm sorry, I'm a little on edge right now, okay? I'm detoxing. I'm like, from what, heroin? Like, what? What have you been doing? Like, what's going on? He's like, no, I haven't had grains in 2 days, and it's really intense. So he's also a bread junkie. And then like a couple years ago, I don't remember, there was like a lot of looting that was happening at the Supreme store or something. Everyone was looting the Supreme store, and it was happening like a couple miles from our apartment. And he was freaking out. He was like, oh my God, they're coming towards us. They're coming towards us. We must escape. And I'm like, they're the looters? The looters are coming to us. What are they going to loot? Your New Balance sneakers? Like, come on. Let's just... Our one-bedroom apartment is going to be okay. We're fine, okay? And he's like, no, we have to get out of here now. We have to just pack the car and go. We're just going to pack the car and drive north. Just north. I'm like, no, what are we, fugitives running for the border? Like, from the looters? Like, what, north where? Like, Burbank or Canada? Because do I need a passport? But I finally talked him down. I was like, let's just stay here. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Like, I don't think they care about us. But he goes, okay, fine. But he went out on our porch and he goes, but I'm bringing in the beach cruiser. I don't want to be a target. I'm like, yeah, because everyone knows a 2007 beach cruiser is a notorious sign of wealth. Like, buy the cruiser, they're going to come for us. And then that same summer in 2020, he was like, he thought he had COVID, but he's like, I think I have COVID because I can feel it. I'm like, what do you feel? Like, what are you feeling? And he's like, I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. And I'm like, well, you did stay up all night binging Game of Thrones. That could have something to do with it. He's like, no, I'm fatigued. And that's a symptom. I looked it up. And I'm like, well, so is sneezing. And I just sneezed. It doesn't mean I have COVID. But, you know, if you're so convinced, just go and get tested. So he went and he got tested, and he had COVID. What? I know. We both learned something very important that day. We learned you should listen to your husband. I'm just kidding. That's not at all what we learned. Come on, listen to your husband, please. No. What we learned is don't be a drama queen if you want your spouse to believe you when you get COVID. Okay, that's the important lesson learned here. Hashtag believe men. He got it at work. He was working at a restaurant that was not following the COVID protocols at all. Like just, I know, ew, right? Packing in the place, like tables next to each other. Oh, I won't say the name of the restaurant though, but I'll say it's named after a hardware store. And it's in West Hollywood, but I won't say the name of the restaurant. 7984 Santa Monica Boulevard, West Hollywood, California, 90046, okay? But so don't go to that address. But I won't tell you it's called Laurel Hardware. Okay, so I was pissed, So I called the health department to complain. Used an alias, of course. I didn't want them to know it was me. So I said my name was Karen. And health department came the next day. It was crazy. So you all, I became a homeowner recently. I know, thank you, not in LA. Like, what am I, rich? No. I mean, I'm beach cruiser rich, but I'm not like buy a house in LA rich. So I got a house in this small mountain town called Idlewild. It's so cute. So like I still live here, like I rent my apartment here because I can't afford to buy a house here, so I bought a house in the mountains, but I can't afford to make a living there, so I Airbnb my place so I can pay the mortgage. You know, basically live an American dream, right? Like isn't that what it is? Always in debt, yeah. So Idlewild is so cute though. It's like a little town. Our mayor is a golden retriever named Mayor Max. I know, like so cute, right? And people there, what I love about living in a small town is it's so gossipy. Like it's just so gossipy, and I love it. I love gossip. I'm in all these different Facebook groups, and I love to like log into the different groups, see what gossip is happening now. One time this woman posted, FYI, there is a woman walking up and down the street talking to herself. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute. Because in LA, where I live, that's a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's a day. It's just a day. It's any day, you know. But up there, it's a Facebook discussion. So, of course, I'm nosy, so I had to ask questions. I'm like, well, what did she look like? What was she wearing? What was she saying? And she's like, well, she's blonde and she's wearing like this denim thing, and she's talking about her husband or something. I'm like, oh my God, she's talking about me. But for the record, okay, I wasn't talking to myself, okay? I was running my set. That's totally different, okay? But then, of course, I had to ask more questions. So I'm like, well, was she funny? Were people laughing? Like, what was the best joke? I need to know. But that's so ridiculous. Like, I'm the crazy one. Their mayor is a dog, okay? But I'm the crazy one. Got it, okay. So Mayor Max has actually been quite controversial lately. Not because he's a dog. Everyone's okay with that. It's because he's a homophobic dog. Not making this up. He's homophobic. Golden retrievers are known for their lovely golden locks and hip dysplasia and rampant homophobia. I know, right? It's crazy. So Mayor Max refused to march in the Pride Parade. I know. Because, are you ready for this? He said it's too political. I'm like, Mayor Max, you're a mayor. It's your job to be political. That's like if I was like, hey guys, so tonight, I'm not gonna tell jokes. I don't wanna be too funny. Like, no, Mayor, come on. But now I just question dogs. I just question all dogs. Like, are other dogs homophobic? Is my dog homophobic? He's not. It's okay. We live in West Hollywood, so he's an ally. It's cool. My biggest fear of owning a house in the mountains is that it's going to burn down, and probably because I did once accidentally start a fire in my apartment, but that's like a whole other thing. But it's like a real fear. This fear is so real to me that I've discussed this in therapy. Okay, I know. And for those of you who do therapy, which is probably everyone here, it's, that's like a big deal. Like, you have to appraise your problems before you discuss them in therapy, right? They're worth money, Like, okay, like my insomnia, that's like a $10 problem, so we do a type 5 on that, Imposter syndrome, that's like a $10 to $20 problem. Fear of fire, that is a good $40 problem, okay? So we spent a solid 20 minutes unpacking that. And my therapist is great, but she's a little too tranquil, she's a little too kumbaya. And I get it, that's her job to be the calm one, but I need her to meet my neuroses halfway, just please, can you just pretend to have a panic attack when I tell you that I'm afraid of my house burning down? Like, has she lost any sleep over my house catching fire? No, what do I even pay her for? But anyways, so I tell her about my fear of fire, my house burning down, and she goes, well, okay, let's just imagine the worst case scenario. Your house burns down. I'm like, yeah, that's a really bad scenario. You're not helping here. You're not helping, therapist, And she goes, yeah, but you have fire insurance, right? I'm like, yeah, I have fire insurance. It doesn't keep the house from burning down. That's not how it works. It just keeps me from being homeless when it does burn down. Plus, like, not to sound snooty, but we have a mid-century modern, okay? And if the house burns down, it's just a 21st century pile of ash, and that does not have the same ring to it, okay? And I did not spend 4 years of art history studying it in college to not one day say something like, we have a mid-century modern, okay? I'm gonna use that fancy degree. That degree costs more than therapy, okay? So I'm gonna use it. So now that I'm a part-time mountain dweller, I did the next thing that every mountain dweller does. I bought a Subaru. Some other mountain dwellers in the okay. I bought a Subaru, and I went to the dealership. I had a budget I was working with, right? I go to the dealership, I'm like, this is my budget that I want to spend. And he says, we don't have anything in that price range. You're not going to find a Subaru in that price range. I was like, okay. So I went across the street. I found a Subaru in my price range, and I bought it. And I just want to have a Pretty Woman moment, in Pretty Woman, where Julia Roberts goes back to the place in Rodeo Drive. I want to have that moment for myself. She's like all dressed up, so I would dress up too, but it's a Subaru dealership, so I'd wear like a flannel and hiking boots, and I'd bring my rescue dog, and I'd go in there and be like, excuse me, I was in here the other day, and you wouldn't sell me a Subaru. You work on commission, right? Big mistake, big, huge. And then I'm gonna go, well, I'm gonna go rescue another dog, and then I'll storm out of there, and then I'll get into my Subaru, crank the Indigo Girls, and peel out of there, and that's gonna show him. He could have had all this. Could have had the Julia Roberts of Subarus. So one of the fun things about Airbnb a house is I love to go to my house and see what people have left behind. I really like to go into like our streaming services and see like what have people been watching. And sometimes they don't even sign out of their accounts. So like Art, someone named Art did not sign out of Netflix. So I'm like, ooh, what's Art been watching? So I go into, Art has watched every single true crime series on Netflix, which means that Art is either a serial killer or a middle-aged woman. I don't know which, but either way, that person was in my house. Sometimes I like to just go into Art's account and watch romantic comedies to throw off the algorithm. And then Netflix will be like, Art, based on your watch history, we recommend the Sex and the City movie. That's me, Art. You're welcome. And then there was Robert. Okay, Robert did not sign out of Hulu. Not just any Hulu, but the expensive one with no ads. Wow. I know. Is Robert rich? What's going on? So, of course, whenever I go to my house, I have to just binge all of Hulu, just to, because Robert left it there for me. And, I know somewhere in, like, Rancho Cucamonga, Robert's like, when did I watch all of Pen 15? You didn't, Robert. That was me. Thank you. Look, I'm paying a mortgage. I should not have to pay for Hulu on top of that. Like, that's crazy. Okay, so my mom is of the generation, she's like just a little older than the boomer generation, so she's of that age where she has a smartphone, but she doesn't use it. Anyone else have a parent or a relative? Like, everyone has that one relative who hasn't quite figured out technology yet. So she leaves these voicemails like as if we're all still using landlines, like they're so entertaining to listen to. So she left me this voicemail, and just so you know, for the sake of this, she lives in Louisville, Kentucky, which is in the Eastern time zone, okay? So she leaves this message, and it's like, well, hi, Alice. It is 12:15 p.m. Louisville time. So it is 9:15 a.m. in Los Angeles. So it's just past noon here, but it's still morning for you. I'm about to have lunch, and you're probably eating breakfast. Thanks, Mom. I'm glad we cleared that up. So I've been going through some old boxes, and I found a social studies report that you wrote in the 6th grade. It's about the education in Nepal. Do you want me to send it to you? It's very well written. You got an A. Well, yeah, we know that because I'm good at grammar. Okay. She's like, well, I'll just go ahead. I'm going to mail it. I'm going to go ahead and mail it. And so you will get it in 2 to 3 days. Okay? All right. So call me later. Oh, by the way, this is Mom. Okay, bye. So, if anyone wants to know about the education in Nepal, there's not much to know. You could Google it. Or you could wait 2 to 3 days, because I'm getting a report in the mail. You can find out a 6th grader's perspective on it. Okay, very well written. I got an A. Thank you. I went to get a mammogram.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. I came back with a tetanus shot. Because I have Kaiser. You know what Kaiser's motto is? It's Kaiser, we do less. So I thought maybe being in my 40s, I should be concerned about breast cancer. They seem so much more concerned about me getting tetanus. Clearly this is the look of someone who works in construction, so I mean, I got it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I got the shot. So now I'm microchipped. By Bill Gates. I have actually been doing a lot of shots in my 40s. Not the fun kind. Hormone shots. I've been doing IVF, and this is why I went to the doctor several years back, and I have this condition, and it's called DOR, and that stands for diminished ovarian reserve. And that's due to another condition I have called OAF, and that stands for old as fuck. So. But hey, on the bright side, I will not be handmade, so. Have you all, you've watched that Hulu documentary, right? I caught up finally because of Robert. He left his Hulu on our TV, so I finished it. Thanks, Robert. So I know this couple that did have a child, and they named their child Sequoia after where Sequoia was conceived, and I was like, oh my God, so cute. I thought, like if I had a child, what would I name my child? And I thought, well, if it's a girl, we could go with Tori, short for laboratory. My husband's Italian, so something that sounds more Italian, like in vitro, or just Ivy. Ivy. So it's very different. It's very different having kids now. We have to be very politically correct. We're using pronouns, which we discussed earlier. Also, I read this article about how we're not supposed to tell girls they're pretty because it's not empowering, and I totally get that. Like, I agree with it. We shouldn't be doing that anymore. But now I'm like nervous around girls. I just want to make sure I say the right thing. I want to set them up for success. And so I was visiting my niece. And she's just, I was about to say she's cute. She's smart. Okay, I don't want to. She's her personality's cute. Okay, and and she's wearing this dress, and it's pink and purple and like poofy, and it has glitter on it and sparkly and all the stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, you in your dress! Look at you! You just look so capable. Oh my God, when you twirl around in your skirt, that skirt just makes you look like you have good leadership skills. And the bow, look at the big bow in the back. You just, a little astrophysicist, like I'm worried I'll slip and say the wrong thing, tell her she's pretty, she loses all sense of self-worth, drops out of high school, it's like all my fault. So if you want to empower a girl, don't tell her she's pretty. Tell her she's prettier than her friends. Because no one told me that, and I got HPV, so. So I have this other condition. It's called IMDb ADD. Does anyone know this thing? It's real. Okay, I made it up, but I guess it's real. Okay, cool. It's when you can't watch a movie without consulting IMDb at least 3 times. It's such a problem. It's such a problem for me. I was just watching $1 Million Baby. Yes, I know it came out in 2004.
So good.
I know, because it came out and I IMDb'd it, so I know. But whatever, I watched everything on Netflix and Hulu, thanks to Robert. So now I'm like, well, what's next? $1 Million Baby. So this movie, if you haven't watched it yet, you obviously have. I'll just tell you. So Hilary Swank plays this boxer, and she gets knocked out, and she gets paralyzed from the neck down. And it is intense, and I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard to watch because she's paralyzed. And I can't remember everything I've seen her in, so I consulted IMDb, I had to, and I'm like, oh my God, Hilary Swank, she was the next Karate Kid. The female version of the Karate Kid. With Mr. Miyagi, played by Pat Morita, who was in the original Karate Kid with Elizabeth Shue, who was in Battle of the Sexes in 2017 with Steve Carell, who was in 40-Year-Old Virgin with Seth Rogen in 2005, who was in This Is the End with Jay Baruchel in 2013, and Jay Baruchel was in $1 Million Baby, and oh my God. I made that connection. I was like, oh, okay, now I can finish the movie. So I went back, and you know what? I didn't press pause, and it ended, and I didn't feel like rewinding it. So don't tell me what happens, okay? It works out for her, right? She gets unparalyzed, does she? She's fine, right? It's a Clint Eastwood movie. What's gonna go wrong? Back to the pronoun thing. Remember that? 30 minutes ago, we were talking about pronouns. Now that we're learning how to use pronouns, Can we now work on using the word irony correctly? Okay, let's please learn the meaning of this word. Okay, so just so we know, irony is when the literal meaning of something is the opposite of its figurative meaning. Okay, opposite. So people mess it up all the time. I used to work at this bar called Library Bar, and one night this woman came up to me. She goes, "Oh my God, we're at the library bar, and my boyfriend's a librarian. That's so ironic." And I'm like, "No, it's not. That's coincidence." Irony would be the girlfriend of the librarian not knowing what the word irony means. Like, what? She was ironing. Oh my God. That's crazy. I blame this on Alanis Morissette, you know. Because she caused this problem. She wrote that song in 1995. Isn't it ironic about all these things that are not ironic at all, and then now no one uses the word correctly anymore? We know this song, right? It's like rain on your wedding day. Isn't it ironic? No, it just sucks. Alanis, that's just something that sucks. Not ironic. It's like some good advice you just didn't take. Isn't it ironic? No, you were just stupid. You didn't take the advice. No irony there. Nope. I love the one. It's like a black fly in your Chardonnay. Isn't it ironic? No, it's not. Black fly's not the opposite of a glass of white wine, okay? It's not. Alanis, I don't think your preferred noun is irony. I think your preferred noun should be dictionary, okay? Like, the adjective should not be ironic. It should be, isn't that fucked up? Because that's like really what all the lyrics are about. Okay. You all have been wonderful. Thank you so much.